Hello everyone, welcome to Saturn Mahadasha Antardashas. On this video I'm studying for you the 9 sub-periods called Antaradasha or Bhukti that you will experience as you go through Saturn Mahadasha. I will also be showing you how to judge the significance of these sub-periods in your own chart. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Let's begin. Saturn Mahadasha, long 19-year period in our life, everyone. On my channel already, check out the link below, a video in which I explain to you the real deep meaning of Saturn Mahadasha in your life, including reading from your rising sign and the sign position of Saturn. This video then is a complement to that video, giving you the details of each of the Antaradashas, also known as Bhukti periods. Don't forget, the Antaradashas can be judged by the meaning of Shani plus the meaning of the Antaradasha Lord in terms of their karakas, but also of the relationship between Saturn and that Antaradasha Lord. But one of the most important judgments is always, how is that Antaradasha Lord placed in your chart from Saturn? Check out the end of the video to make sure you understand this, because this will give you the distinction between having the best and highest experience of any Antaradasha and a more difficult experience. So let's begin. Let's start with Saturn Saturn, the 3 years, 3 days introduction. Very intense as well to the long 19-year period. What I've seen here is that you need to take care of the what is known as Dasha Sandhi factor. Dasha Sandhi is a crossover between one Dasha and the other, a border if you like. One door is closing, another door is open. So for this Saturn period, 1 year and 9 months is actually the portion of Dasha Sandhi. So for half, roughly speaking, of this 3 years, things will be very uncertain, very unclear. But no matter for that, Saturn will also bring opportunity, because if Saturn is good for you, say you have Libra rising, Taurus rising, Saturn is your yoga karaka, or Saturn is extremely strong, well placed in your chart, there can be job opportunities, promotion, new job, doors opening to you straight away in Saturn period. Why? Because Saturn is karaka for everything about promotion, opportunity, and hard work. One thing for sure though, these opportunities will require the absolute hardest work you've done in your life. It won't be on the plate. You will have to work harder than ever before. However, if Saturn is difficult for you in your chart, Saturn straight away will have the opposite impact. There could be opposite factor happening. There could be job loss, loss of opportunity, stress in the workplace, and a great burden on you, which you find difficult to deal with. Once again, though, stay with this and stay honest and forthright. Saturn is always testing at this period. Will you do the ethical thing? Will you do the honest thing? Will you work hard, even if it doesn't seem to have immediate reward? Next period is Saturn Mercury, 2 years, 8 months and 9 days. For most people, this starts out really quite well because Saturn and Mercury are friends. Mercury's agenda is to lighten everything up. It makes you immediately more optimistic, light-hearted. You get new opportunities, friendships, network circles widen, travel is very common. You are suddenly able to see ahead, whereas before everything was cloudy. Mercury also is excellent for education in this period and for business ventures starting up now. If you have a good aspect of Mercury to Saturn, as I say at the end of the video, you will definitely get good business startup in this period. It's excellent for pushing ahead with your own agenda, with purpose and insight. Mercury gives you insight. Mercury solves problems. So for many people, it starts off really well. But then what tends to happen is Saturn's influence gets heavier as you get through the 2-year period. So things slow down around the middle of this period. But again, a good aspect between Mercury Saturn won't harm too much. But if there is disharmony between Saturn and Mercury, Mercury is in a bad house to Saturn, There can be travel delays, there can be health issues, skin problems, respiratory problems. You have to watch for coughs and colds and all these sort of things ruled by Mercury. You have to watch communications, definitely. Because the real problem with Mercury Saturn is miscommunication, where you are not understood, where you feel that you have been actually misrepresented. It can even affect business situations through deception. So you have to be very clear and very honest, above board about everything. Very transparent, in fact, in this Saturn Mercury period. Next, Saturn Ketu period, 1 year, 1 month and 9 days. Now this can be surprisingly helpful for many people. If there is good aspect between Ketu and Saturn in your chart, expect to get monetary gain, opportunities, a lot of travel and satisfaction, as long as you keep yourself to yourself. Saturn and Ketu have a quiet confidence going on between them. Saturn and Ketu are a bit reclusive in some way, so you tend to go your own way, do your own thing, have your own plans in this year, and it can be very successful if there is good aspect between them. It's not a time for standing up and shouting and making a scene or trying to get yourself noticed. That's going to bring out the worst aspects here. But continuing on, taking opportunities, you can actually get great financial gain in this period. This has been reported most definitely. But Saturn Ketu, if there is ill aspect, is going to give you a confidence crisis. You stop believing in yourself because confidence comes down. You feel this inner fear, and it can feel quite heavy mentally. So you have to take care that you get enough support in this period. If there is ill aspect between Ketu and Saturn, you can have a real crisis of direction at this time. So please take care. Saturn Venus period, 3 years and 2 months, another long period. It can be extremely successful if you have Venus and Saturn in a good aspect, because they are friends to each other. What tends to happen is relationships improve. There can be marriage in a male chart if there is good aspect from Venus to Saturn and you have Venus strong. You can get an excellent rapport with your partner. You can have children also, because Venus rules childbirth. So it's excellent for family concerns as well, but especially for that deep rapport with your partner. And in a female chart also, Saturn Venus shows improved spousal relationship and harmony with your female friends. For everybody, there can be great monetary gain in this Saturn Venus period. You can get great success in your artistic endeavors, and even fame can be seen at this time. But when Venus and Saturn are not placed in a harmonious house from each other, you can definitely expect disharmony in relationships. It just can't quite get that balance between yourself and your partner. You need endless patience in this period, but if you show that, Saturn will always reward you. Don't forget, Venus and Saturn are friends to each other, so any disharmony can be overcome. Venus-Saturn also will give some overindulgence in sense pleasures, in eating, maybe drinking, all of these things. And certainly I've seen spendthrift tendencies come to the fore. Money slips through your fingers and you can find yourself worse off at the end of this period than you actually were at the beginning. So you have to take care with that. Saturn Sun period, 11 months and 12 days of enormous intensity. Saturn and Sun has a great power behind it, but they are enemies to each other. So you have to go your own way. Saturn Sun is about independence, doing your own thing under your own steam. And if there is a good aspect from Sun to Shani, you can expect promotion, you will get noticed, and you will absolutely get success in this period. But if Sun is afflicted in your chart, or particularly when Sun is not in a good placement from Saturn, you've got to be very cautious. You can have challenges with your boss, challenges from your father or your father's family. There can be great disharmony and even ill health. You have to watch cardiovascular health. Stress is so strong. Stress is strong because you are pushing against so many obstacles, so you need to take great care in this period. Shani Moon is 1 year and 7 months. I would honestly say that this is perhaps one of the most trickiest periods in Shani Mahadasha. Shani and the Moon are just not able to compromise their different agenda. And Shani and the Moon, of course, reminds us of Sadi Sati. So some of the similar effects come to bear in this Saturn Moon period. But don't be afraid of it, because just like with Sadi Sati, you can get so much out of this. But the first thing, no matter how harmonious Moon is to Saturn is, your mood takes a downward turn. You become more serious, a little bit introverted. Maybe some of you become depressed because all of a sudden you become extra sensitive to society. Moon is your inner emotions and sensitivity, and your mind becomes clouded by the heaviness of Saturn's agenda. If there is a good placement from the Moon to Saturn, though, good domestic changes can occur. And you can even get great popularity in this period because the Moon is about public and Saturn gives that real impact where you make an impression on other people. But it still remains true that Saturn Moon for most people will contain an element of dissatisfaction, even if you did get this popularity, because Saturn Moon inclines your mind to the negative side of life. So taking time for meditation, yoga practices, any time where you can get away from everything and de-stress yourself will definitely help you in this Saturn Moon period. And the reason for this is actually because Saturn Moon inclines you to turn inwards away from society a little bit. You don't feel as supported. You don't feel as though you can totally depend on others in this period. So by going into meditation, spiritual practices, you can avoid clashes and letdown in your social life that may occur under affliction. But there's no time for meditation during Saturn Mars period. It's all action. Now, you very much have to look at the harmony between Saturn and Mars in your chart. This 1 year and 1 month and 9 days is extremely active, volatile. Anything could happen at any time. What's happening is you're pushing out the boat now. Particularly, by the way, if you are led by Mars in your chart. If you've got Moon in Aries, Moon in Scorpio, Aries rising, Scorpio rising, you really feel the energy of this Mars in your life. And the issue is, everything depends on the harmony between them in your chart. Mars and Saturn are not friendly to each other, that they have a definite opposite agenda. So when their energies come together, only by harmonious relationship in your chart can you really make this work for you. So when you have Mars in a favorable house from Saturn, you are more likely to be able to pace yourself well. Don't forget, Mars gets exalted in Saturn's sign Capricorn. So actually, you are able to gain all success through planning carefully, through patience and really cautious action, but direct action when needed. Your planning and your pacing is perfected when Mars, Saturn are in really good aspect. You are almost cunning in your ability to get things working your way. All mechanical careers are actually benefited by Mars, Saturn. If you are in any of those fields, it can be supremely successful for you. But when Mars is placed in a difficult house from Saturn, it becomes very tense indeed. You've got to be very careful. You can push yourself to the point of exhaustion. There can be push-pull, where you are just giving out in a huge way, pushing ahead, and then you pull back in frustration. There can be anger issues. There can even be violence in your life. You must be very cautious. Don't lash out at other people. Stay as calm as you can all the time. Mars Saturn needs careful pacing when they are in disharmony. So the best thing, if you can possibly do it, and you know you've got a difficult placement from your Saturn and Mars, is to hold back now. Don't push forward in any way. Be patient and try to take a back seat rather than pushing ahead. After the tensions of Saturn Mars comes Saturn Rahu. I have to tell you that this is quite a difficult period for most people. Even if there is a good relationship between Saturn and Rahu, you nevertheless have to be aware of some factors. Rahu is a rebel. He will balk against the restrictions of Shani. He wants to be free. He wants to be independent. Saturn wants to curtail that. Saturn wants absolute observance of conservative values and authority. So there's going to be a conflict here. Even if you've been fairly satisfied and maintaining your composure during Saturn Mars, when we get to Saturn Rahu, everybody will feel this inner rebel coming out. You become impatient. You become almost antisocial in some way. You just will not put up with things that you put up with before. Your relationships can become disturbed because of this. There can be quarrels in your workplace. You can get on bad terms with your friends, with your children, almost everybody. You are impatient and not satisfied. If there is a fairly good aspect between Saturn and Rahu, you will contain it, but the energy will still be there. The best way to get success in Shani Rahu is to do things that are innovative, new, under your own steam, in your own time. Satisfy Saturn by doing your duty, continuing with your main profession maybe, and start a small business in your own time. That sort of thing, where you satisfy this need for newness, but still maintain structure in your life. That's the absolute key in this time. Finally, after the long journey of Shani Mahadasha, you come to the final portion, the 2 years, 6 months and 12 days of Saturn Jupiter. Jupiter and Saturn are not friends, don't forget, but Jupiter certainly will lighten your load in this period. Many people get great relief in this Saturn-Jupiter period, particularly when Jupiter is well placed from Saturn. You can be assured of financial success, help from your social network, help from your husband if you are female. You can expect to finally feel as though the weight has been taken off your shoulders. Despite these auspicious factors, though, we must remember that this is Dasha Chidra. Dasha Chidra, the last Bhukti or Antaradasha of any Mahadasha, is challenging because the ground starts to become shaky and uncertain, particularly in the last portion. So, as far as Saturn Jupiter is concerned, it's the last year that is the most difficult. But nonetheless, actually, if you have Mercury, next Mahadasha, in the same sign as Saturn in your chart, it won't be so tricky for you. That's one thing for sure. But for everybody else, just take the day for what it offers you, because Saturn Jupiter is a sort of reward, if you like, for all the difficulties, frustrations and hurdles many people have to experience in Saturn Mahadasha. Let's now consider how to judge the Bhuktis in your chart by the position of Saturn. You have to see your chart from the position of Saturn as though Saturn was actually in the first house of your chart, and count where the Antardasha lords are from Saturn's position. This can be done in your D1 obviously, but also in your D9 and your D10 and even D60 to get really important reading. The most favourable Bhukti Lord houses to be placed from Saturn are the 4th house from Saturn, the 5th, the 9th and the 10th. When the Lord of the Bhukti or Antardasha is placed in these houses, Kendra and Trikona, you will definitely feel more flow in your life. You will definitely feel that you are able to make the most of the energies. Even if Saturn is not friend with that Lord, you are able to grow through this period. The most challenging placements of all from Saturn will be when the Antardasha or Bhukti Lord is in the 6th house from Saturn, 7th house from Saturn, 8th from Saturn and 12th from Saturn. When the lords are actually placed in these houses, you can definitely expect tension and difficulty and many challenges. Mixed results, some favourable, some not favourable, will be found when the Bhukti Lord is with Saturn, same house, 2nd from Saturn, 3rd from Saturn, and in the 11th house from Saturn. On your screen now, Saturn Mahadasha. Check out that video for all the details of what this important Mahadasha will hold for you. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now, and God bless you all.